Thanks for watching Live on Lakeside. So think about this. When's the last time you went for a job interview? How did you do? Did you actually get the job?
That's a good question.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, life coach DiGeronimo is here with some pointers on how to prepare for those face-to-face meetings. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hi, JJ. Good to see you.
All right, no matter who you are, I don't care who you are, you get a little nervous when you go to job interviews.
I'm nervous talking about it right now.
So how should we prepare? Is it the same for any kind of job that we go to? How much do we, is there something called over-preparing for a job interview?
I don't know. These days, the job market's tough. I think you can't really prepare, right? And you need to prepare well before you even try to get the job, right? You need to make sure that your profiles are up to date and that you're aware of the company and network as much as you can. So there's a lot of things you have to do these days to get a good job.
Okay, you brought a bunch of tips with you, and they're going to be up at the bottom of the screen, but why don't we start having the conversation? What are the tips?
Sure. So the first tip is, most of you know social media has really, just social media and the impact of social media, you need to have your best foot forward on social media.
Yeah.
Right? So from a professional standpoint, you need to have your LinkedIn profile up to date, right? You need to have your recommendations on there, really get 100% profile done.
It's a whole different world with social media now.
Oh,
it really is.
But on the flip side of that, make sure your privacy settings are in check as well, because they're, again, with social media, people can go on and look at anything that you've done that's not so flattering and really ruin your chance to get the job, right?
That's exactly right. These days you have to be careful what you post, and if you do post something, you really need to be aware of your privacy settings. Yeah. So things that are non-professional activities, make sure that you have the privacy settings only for the people that you have friends with. It's a good idea too to search your name on Google to see what comes up when people do search you.
Yeah, okay. Let's move on. Yeah.
Trust me, do that.
It's fascinating, though.
Yes,
This whole world, it's so different than years ago when our parents were doing interviews and things like that.
Right.
And even when you think of applying to a college or a school, it's sort of like getting a job in a sense, and they're going to also be looking at social media and things like that.
You're exactly right.
And the next one is do research beyond that company's website. It's easy just to go on and look at that, but it really does show that employer that you want an extra mile.
It is. Yep. Most companies now have Facebook fan pages. They have LinkedIn pages as well. It's great to read their annual report to see what has been happening the last 12 months, what they hope to accomplish the next 12 months, especially as you're preparing for those questions, right, of how you're going to handle the job and what kind of impact you're going to make when you're there.
Okay. Leverage your network.
Gotta love your network, right?
Yeah.
So you always want to, important group of people, and especially social media. You have a great way of understanding who already works for the company. So if you don't know them, you can ask your LinkedIn friends to connect you to somebody they may know. They have great features that allow you to do that. Get information before you get to the interview about the company, things that are important, things you might not find on the website.
And in my opinion, the last and the most important is make sure you make that first good impression.
Oh, I totally agree. I
think
think
never get that second chance.
Within seconds, I think sometimes decisions are already
right. And I think that you still, regardless of how people dress at the company, whether it's business casual or even casual, you really need to step it up, wear the suit, right? Make sure your first impression, you're confident, you sit up straight, you ask good questions, and you answer with authority, but you also answer with examples. So when people ask you questions, just not yes, no, maybe give them an example of how you have done that in a previous job or a previous role to give them some perspective on what you bring to the table.
Yeah. And what about, I feel like there's something to be said for, in that first impression, being yourself in a very professional way, but not putting on an air. Because I think you could read through that.
I think that's a great point. You know, people hire people.
Yes.
Right? And so you need to be your true self.
Yeah.
Yeah, because eventually if they do hire you and they hire you and thinking that you're this person, realize that you're that person.
They're going to fire you after they hire you.
They're going to fire you right after they hire you, correct?
That's exactly right.
No, I mean, it's really a true thing.
Exactly. And thank you notes are still really important. I just want to mention, thank you notes are still very important. You can send an email, but you really should send a hand thank you.
There's nothing better than the handwritten thank you. There is nothing better, because you know that takes some time.
You hear all that out there, kids who are watching? There's actually pen and paper.
There really is.
That you can write on.
It stops me in my tracks when I get thank you letters like that.
And because it's not done that way, that's really, I guarantee if you have 10 kids, college kids, lined up interviewing, if only one of them does it, I bet you they're the only one. Yeah. And it'll really make you stand out.
Right. That's exactly right.
JJ, thank you.
Thank you so much.
PurposefulWoman.com is the website where you can learn more. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Now you're going to nail these interviews.
Yep.
Boom.
Just don't wear a suit like this.
Stop. We're like the strike team.
Yeah, we are.
Good stuff.